Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for clicking on the video. I've been asked by a couple people um, about Enhancement Shaman rotation. Now, let me just answer that right now. There pretty much is no rotation. What I do anyway, is that you just use your abilities off cooldown, but be aware of what's happening around you. So like, don't just aim down at your abilities and just make sure that they're all off cooldown all the time, or all on cooldown all the time. You just be aware that you have to purge a lot. You have to kick, drop CCs, like even Earthbind Totem, stuff like that. Get away, help other people, throw a Frost Shock somewhere else to like slow a warrior off your healer or something like that. There's a lot that comes into account, but pretty much there is no rotation for damage, because right now in pre-patch it's just hit things. But in Warlords, we're going to get a couple of buffs, which is going to add a rotation to it, but it's not melee. It's mainly spells. So depending on the talent, you could take this. I'm looking forward to testing this, so I want to try to Lava Lash a bunch and throw out a hard shock, which in turn will make me unleash, do a fire shock, stuff like that, and we're gonna get buffed lightning bolt damage, so I want to take advantage of how much I can hit with this, as well as the debuff that Storm Strike itself gives, which is increases the crit chance of your nature damage by 25%, which your only nature damage is lightning bolt. So that, or if you choose chain lightning, but I would always go for lightning bolt. So basically what I do whenever I have a fight, also you have to be prepared for who you're fighting. So if it's a BG, good luck. Just you do your best. If it's a arena, make sure you're glyphed properly. And I always say that because I've been using Persian Glyph a lot, but I will swap it out if I don't need it. Stuff like that. So be aware of who you're fighting. Basically, I open with Unleash, Fire Shock for a big dot on there. That'll heal me for a little bit. And then if I get a proc like this, I have been testing it out, and Lava Lash does do quite a bit of damage. So when it crits, it's like, I can't see that, but it's a pretty big number. To make Storm Strike worth using, instead of Lava Lash, they both need to crit because it's two separate attacks. So you may see a crit for like 4k and you're like, that's garbage, Storm Strike's terrible. But then you also have to take into account the offhand weapon that you're hitting with too. If they both crit, then it's a big number. Then it hits really hard, but it's physical damage. So Lava Lash is fire damage, so it takes advantage of your mastery. That and Fire Shock. I'm not sure if Searing Totem takes advantage of it. If it does, it still doesn't matter. It's not enough damage. It doesn't do nearly enough damage to make it worth it anyway. But so right now, whenever I fight anything, I just Unleash, Fire Shock. Make sure I always have the Storm Strike debuff on there whenever I have a proc for a Lightning Bolt. When it's unleashed, make sure sometimes I hold on to it I use it for heals, mostly if I'm doing arenas or something. But if not, then unleash, make sure you're in melee range, because you also get multi-strike. So you gotta keep that in mind. Toss out the bolt, and then you just use your abilities off cooldown. And then Frost Shock, if you have your Fire Shocks where they need to be, so that meaning you've spread them to where they need to be and you're fire novering and all that, then just Frost Shock off cooldown, because it's the only other shock you have, and it does do quite a bit of damage right now. Also, I want to point out that in Warlords, that'll be what the rotation is. If you take this, you'll be unleashing. I want to say off cooldown, but at the same time I don't, because you might want to use it to get away or catch up, because you get a speed boost too. But if not, then the rotation would be Lava Lash, Unleash, Frost Shock, stuff like that. And if you have the perfect combo, would be have an Unleash Fire Shock on there with Fire Lay hitting him, and you have Maelstrom stacks, Lava Lash. So with this, I would have a big Frost Shock ready to go with that. So Unleash, big bolt, big Frost Shock. That would be the burst that a Enhanced Shaman could do. Other than that, it looks like in Warlords that I'm gonna try stacking Mastery, because of how spells are just mainly what our damage is. Even though we're melee DPS, we usually just use our melees so we can get better spells, like quicker lightning bolts and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try stacking mastery too, so I can get big frost shot crits and everything, and just see how that goes. And then obviously I'm gonna do some testing for haste and all that, and then let you guys know what I think. Also, I will always say this, but frost shot, fire shot, spread it around, and fire nova. I cannot say how amazing fire nova is. I love it, especially when it can be unleashed. Like that just crit 5k. Imagine if there's like if it's a group battle or there's pets all over the place. It's nuts. It's it's awesome how much damage you can actually do. Now the unleash fire buff only works for frost shock and fire nova. Fire shock and fire nova. So you kind of have to pick and choose where you want it, and that's one of the things that I mentioned before, is where you got to be aware of what you're doing. So if you have all your fire shocks and you have unleash ready, use it obviously for the multi-strike, keep hitting stuff, but then maybe use it for a fire nova instead, stuff like that. Now there is one, I don't want to call it a trick, but one thing that I do that still allows for a shaman burst right now is I have all of the things I need. So I have the debuff from Storm Strike, I have an unleash fire shock, and in a perfect world I would have an unleash ready to go as well as a lightning bolt. But you don't need the 5 stacks, because what I've noticed is that this is my cooldown button, so it does my racial, I've added bloodlust in there, it does ascendance and everything. When you pop ascendance, the cooldown for Storm Strike gets reset, because it turns into like Storm Lash or something like that, Wind Lash, Wind Strike, and so it gets reset. So you could Storm Strike if it echoes, Storm Strike, pop cooldowns, and just keep pumping them out like that. So as sort of a burst, and because it bypasses armor, it is going to hit pretty hard. It hits hard. It doesn't look cool anymore because it's just wind, but it still hits hard. So you just keep pumping out the damage and then throwing out the maelstroms and stuff. Also, because it's a burst, and because you can pump out that quick couple like frost shocks and storm strikes and wind lashes or whatever really quickly, a lot of the times you'll get a bunch of stacks. So if you have 2, you'll get 5. If I've gone to 5 instantly when popping ascendance like that before, multiple times. So it can also be used as a defensive. So if you have Shaman Rage rolling and Feral Spirits and everything, and your health just isn't going back up or something, the heck, or you just need a little bit of extra healing, you pop it, get a bunch of stacks, and just keep continuing damage. And because you're using it as a defensive, you'll not only be healing yourself from the maelstrom stacks you're getting, but it'll put them on the defensive to not attack you anymore. I've done that multiple times. Something I tried and have stopped doing is using my maelstrom stacks for healing rain, only because it's not good at all. Like, it's critting for 500 with both Dancing Steel, agility gives you spell power. That's why I'm mentioning that. So it crits for like 1,000, and it's not good, but it's one of those extra things that at the very bare minimum, if you're full health, if your teammate's full health, and you have a maelstrom stack that you need, that you can use, and you don't think, if it's like a Death Knight and he's got his magic shield up or something, pop a healing rain down, fine, because the stacks do increase the effectiveness of your nature effects by 10% per stack. So it is going to do something, but it's healing rain for Enhanced Shaman, so it's not going to do anything crazy. So sort of in conclusion, pre-patch Enhanced Shamans don't really have a rotation. You just have to be mindful of what you're doing with your abilities, and always remember to purge a lot, because if they have no buffs or no heals, no shields or anything, they're just that much more vulnerable. And the fact that a shaman can do that is what makes a shaman a shaman. It's so powerful. I love it, and especially fighting priests. So I was thinking, if it's a priest, hunter, enhanced shaman, all 3 can purge. So there's no excuse for them to have any type of buff or anything. It can remove paladin bops. It can move shields and speed ups and stuff like that. It's not going to steal them, but it removes them, and it is so effective. But in Warlords, it's going to switch up a little bit because of the spell effects that we're going to get. Spell enhancements, I guess. So Unleash Elements is going to increase our speed. It's going to, if you take this, we're going to get harder hitting spells. Our melee are pretty much going to stay the same, aside from Fire Shock's dot has a chance to reset the cooldown of Lava Lash, which if you get this, it's just like one of those things where like if it RNGs, you could just be Lava Lashing over and over and over and pumping out really hard hitting Frost Shocks. So I feel like the burst and damage for Enhanced Shamans is going to go up a lot, but it's just weird because we use our melees to get better spells, and the spells is where our real damage comes from, even though we're technically a melee DPS. It's just strange as all. This will probably be my last video until Warlords comes out, because there's nothing really else I can say. There's nothing else I can cover. I just kind of wanted to answer the whole rotation question and give you my thoughts on what rotation is going to be in Warlords, as well as how it's going to affect the damage that an enhanced shaman can do. So I'll see you guys at level 100. I will be grinding out the gear. I will be staying up all night, obviously pumping out those levels, and hope you look forward to those videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for the support, by the way.